We have this story from Newsweek. Russia blasts provocative Pelosi and vows to back China. You even had a lawmaker in Russia say that if World War III breaks out, they're going to nuke London right away. And I'm just thinking about, with all this talk of President AOC, I wonder what China and Russia are thinking. Because in all seriousness, they're looking at their calendars thinking, what's going to happen come 2025 when a new administration enters? What opportunities do we lose? What opportunities do we gain? What must we do now?
I'll tell you what they're all thinking. The government of Russia and China, what they're begging and hoping for, the United States will fight itself. That's what they want.
That's right.
Well, we're doing a good job of that.
That's the only way we could lose in this situation is if we fight ourselves. Well, no,
I think in a lot of ways we could lose, actually.
But one way, more than 27% likely of a loss would be because of an internal conflict.
I think if Donald Trump wins in 2024, China is worried about that because they're gutting our economy. They're extracting our resources and our jobs. Russia is excited about it because Donald Trump does not want this psychotic American empire BS happening in the Middle East. And Russia's like, good for us. It's probably why they backed off from Ukraine, because they felt like they weren't being threatened by this expansionist, uniparty Democrat Republican garbage. But China would probably freak out. But I'm wondering if, like, let's say the polls are wrong. Let's say the Democrats are voting in the Republican primary, and so there's more Democrats voting, and then AOC gets elected. Maybe not even AOC, because that's very silly.
Right.
But
Elizabeth Warren.
Who do we like?
No, I just mean
so
like
old.
There's only one president, I think, out of anyone, name a Democrat, name a Republican. Donald Trump is the only person I think who can handle the foreign policy. With the conflict, the crisis. Two reasons. One, what we saw with this foreign policy was the best I've ever seen in my lifetime. Getting our troops out of the Middle East, scheduling it to a great degree, pulling troops out, eliminating ISIS. Crossing to the DMZ into North Korea with no security detail was a huge sign of good faith. Mm-hmm. Abraham Accords. What was the peace agreement he had up in Europe? Which country was it? I always forget. Anyway,
what, like the Kosovo stuff?
Was it? No. What was it?
I don't know.
I don't know. Someone want to look it up. He did another peace agreement. I'm sure the chat will know. But my point is,
the chat knows it all.
They do. It's the oracle. It's the great oracle. Donald Trump's foreign policy was just downright the best. On top of that, he had this twitching eye about nuking his enemies if they crossed us. So you got the best of both worlds.
Which was great. Mm-hmm. I loved that part.
He's bringing our troops back, and nobody's crossing us because he's got his finger right on the nuke button being like, I'm pulling my troops out. Mm-hmm. You see? And they're looking at his finger on the button. They're like, we're not moving. Like, get your troops out. We're fine. But Joe Biden, man, this guy comes in, and Russia was like, okay, into Ukraine we go.
Here we go.
Yeah, yep.
Well, because Biden's not going to do anything. Everything he's going to do is going to be calm and measured and considerate, He's never going to take any real decisive action.
Kosovo,
Serbia, yeah. That was like that's the Europe war area. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Must be over there.
That's their battleground.
That's like where they've been, hiding the dead bodies and everything.
Yikes.
Yeah, right? They had the mass graves. It was really, under Clinton, it was horrible.
In Kosovo?
Yeah, that whole area.
So we got this
after the Velvet Revolution.
We got these stories. Russia says they're going to back China. China's going to launch missiles over Taiwan. A Russian lawmaker said they would nuke London. He's like, that's the first thing hit. And he said it's because London basically is an epicenter for NATO. It's a huge, so they would go right after it. I don't know. I think there's a lot of saber rattling, but how much of this is us just being like naive and thinking nothing bad could ever happen?
That it is. I think that there's a lot of naivety to that. And I think that we saw that under the Obama administration as well. Because what happened with Obama is he would walk into the room having already stated what compromises he would make, right? Because Obama walks in, he's like, I'm a reasonable man. These are reasonable provisions. Okay, except everyone else you're dealing with is a crazed invading lunatic, right? Who wants more territory, who's not playing by your new rules. Obama was playing by the rules of, we're in charge, everyone's cool with us being in charge, we'll make some considerations for you, we'll do some compromising. Biden's going with those same rules, and those rules don't apply. First of all, he's ridiculous, and everybody knows it. And it's obvious anytime he talks to world leaders that everyone thinks that he's, lost his marbles.
Yeah. It's almost like a get what go broke, right? And almost with the United States. Like what happens is I'm imagining you've got like a candy shop and a security guard gets hired to stop shoplifters. And he's this 6'4" orange guy who's just like looking at everybody being like, hey, you fat pig, you get out of here. Hey, I'm looking at you. and people are laughing. Some people are like, I don't want to go to this candy shop anymore. And then the owner or like the investors come in and they're like, get this guy out of here and just get anyone else. And so they wheelchair in this old man who's just sitting there going, brr, and then everyone runs in and starts just looting the store. So it's like, because of the potty mouth, they cancel the president and then say, we'll take anything else. And you get this tepid, pathetic old man. And now we are being just rampaged over internationally.
Well, and it's not
Gas
just
prices,
internationally,
production.
right? It's not just internationally. I mean, there's like a Dwayne Reed in New York that's been putting spam in plastic lock boxes.
No, for real?
For real. Because of shoplifting. I mean, we're destroying our country. We're destroying ourselves on the world stage. We're destroying our reputation. We're not doing
feels
anything.
on purpose.
Well, Obama, who was it who was saying, I looked it up the other day because I thought it was Obama who was saying that we had to manage the decline of the U.S. He didn't say it quite like that.
He said something like, I think we got to blow up kids. Too many of them.
But he said, there was something about that,
what it was
managing
all
the
about,
decline of the U.S. And I don't know why we ever let ourselves get sucked into that mindset. If we're going to be an empire, why not just take over more stuff?
Because the new world order needs to set in. The old world order is limited war, American military bases all over the earth, the liberal international
Right, but
economy.
meanwhile, everyone else is still playing like they're empire builders.
I got an idea for a video game that I would like to make. And it's, you're playing as Obama and you're droning kids.
Yikes.
Because, but the Democrats supported him. They think he was the greatest president. So what's the problem?
Have it like show his face, and then you see it, and it zooms into his eye, and then all of a sudden you're looking out the camera of the drone
Or
strike.
they're not kids. You think they're kids, but they're demons.
Ooh.
And then Obama's
Or-
like, only I can do it.
There are demons, but the kids are there as collateral, but you still have to go for the demons.
So it's like, well, the kids are just in the way. I did not like Obama.
I think you should
mostly
do
because
Obama's voice. If we do this video game, then you have to do
It's not actually a good Obama impression. It's like
good
an
enough, though.
exaggerated
Fire away.
blow up kids.
He was the opposite of Trump in that, I mean, they were definitely different guys, but he was like likable personality, but pretty overrun by the deep state and militaristic.
He was blowing kisses while pressing the drone
Not
strike button.
super militant. He wasn't invading countries. He was just bombing stuff. And they all have been, really. Even Trump escalated the drone bombing program in secret, and he gave the control to the generals to make the decisions without him.
But
It's
well,
the kind of commander
I was
does
thinking about
that.
this
Yeah,
recently
it's-
too, like because we have don't we have a recruitment failure right now in
Yeah.
our military? We have like 2 months in the fiscal year, and we're only halfway to the recruitment goals, and we're going to be really short. So what do you do in that situation if you don't have guys to go send in and get blown up? Do you advance your
Robots.
Robot autonomous weapons
Drones.
system?
Depends on the situation.
Gigantic drones.
And
it's
if you have, if there are robot autonomous weapons, do they fall under 2A? Does anyone get to have those?
I think they do.
Do they?
I think it would need to be clarified and codified, but arms means arms.
So autonomous robot dogs with rifle
Yep.
shooting eyes.
A robot dog that can fire a weapon is just, it's like an advanced firing mechanism. The thing about the left and the anti-gun, I shouldn't say the left, I hate doing that. The Democrats, the anti-gun people, is they just don't believe people have a right to defend themselves, and they don't understand what a fundamental right is. And a fundamental right is like, dude, if a weapon is held by the government, people had the right to have it. So I'm all on board if people want to come together and say like maybe there should be some limitations, because weapons kind of got crazy in terms of like directed energy weapons and laser induced plasma channels. Now we got drones that you can mount stuff on. Okay, maybe we should have a conversation there. I say for the time being, arms are arms. Whether it's a flying drone that you put a machine gun on, or a handgun, or a bow and arrow, or a knife, whatever. That's the crazy thing, is that knives aren't covered under arms.
What do you mean?
Like you can't have knives in some place because there's no
you can't
two-way
have
right to
Bowie
it.
knives and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah.
And they say a knife a certain length and stuff like that. Certain things are like, well, it doesn't count as an arm, so
Meanwhile,
as
there was just a
arms.
stabbing attack during a tubing vacation. Did you guys see that?
Yeah.
No, what was that about?
Yeah. So some crazy guy I don't remember why. He was like part of the trip, and he stabbed a 17-year-old to death.
Yeah.
And sent 4 other people to the hospital, and they were all just tubing on a river.
Whoa.
I think it's typically like interpersonal conflict that just gets out of hand.
You see the box cutter slasher in New York or whatever?
No.
He just like holds his arm in there and he walks up to a woman and just slashes her in the back. It's full force.
In broad daylight.
Could you imagine
like
living in New York?
On the subway station?
No.
Could you imagine living in New York, Libby?
I can imagine it very well. I live there.
Bro, check this out. We went to New York to look to we did a trip for all the crew to see the billboards we put up. That morning was when it happened. Mm-hmm. Oh no, I think the slashing happened that morning.
Box cutter slasher happened then?
Just like some like older woman is like walking with a little cart and then he just slashes her back.
So the other day, it was last weekend, and I was hanging out with my son, as I tend to do because he lives in my house. And I was like, do you want to go do something? We could go to the Met. I love the Met. And also the Met is the only museum in New York that stopped requiring Vax cards. So I was like, okay, I'll go back to the Met. But everybody else, the Guggenheim, everybody else, you have to show your Vax card. I think that's still in effect. Anyways, so I was like, you want to go do this? We'll go hang out. We'll go to the Lego store. We'll do fun stuff. We'll walk around. And he was like, can't we just drive to Jersey and go to a mall? And I was like, yeah, we could do that. And so instead of going to Manhattan, we went to the mall in New Jersey.
Your son is like ready to be in the suburbs. He's done.
Like, we're done here.
What? Did he say why you'd rather do Jersey?
So I said, you don't want to walk around Manhattan? He was like, it's hot. There's probably good stuff at a mall. We can go to a chain restaurant.
You do get the AC.
They got Panda Express.
We ended up at a California pizza kitchen.
Ooh,
classic mall fare.
It was fun. We had a fun day, and we still did a ton of walking. We just wandered around the mall a lot.
Yeah.
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. But if you want to check out the full show live, tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And if you want more special access content, head over to timcast.com and become a member. Your membership helps sustain this company, keep our journalists employed, makes this show happen, and you will get access to exclusive members-only segments of the Timcast IRL podcast, and there's a massive library to check out. So again, go to timcast.com or tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., and we'll see you all there.